this is kind of part of this whole process, you know, going from here to there to the next row. At the end of this, or towards the end of this journey, you're gonna have to examine your life a lot. If you don't already always do that in the department, at home, with all aspects of your life, is it good? Okay. Then this is gonna be a lot harder than you think. I mean, it was already extremely hard to just kind of do this, and a lot of you can guess why, but I'll start off by saying, hi, I'm Richard Lardner.
Hi, nice to meet you.
And get to learn a little bit about me. If you already don't know most things, I kind of am an open book, and a lot of you know pretty much everything about me. But hopefully from this you can glean a few things, and hopefully I can impart some wisdom here. Like one of the other great last lecturers, I'm not saying mine's going to be great, but just bear with me. But Morgan Garrett started off by saying, you know, I think he didn't really know what he was going to say until the night before, and he procrastinated all the way till the night before. And I had all these slides like ready to go, right? Weeks. I was like, I told my dad yesterday, I think I'm just going to freestyle it. I think I had so many different things written down over the years, and there were like little notes in these notebooks and stuff, and I'd cross it off a couple months later, a year later. This is stupid, I'm not going to say that. So nothing was written down, and now I think I was up till like 2 in the morning, like finally found the words to say. So this is me, obviously. This is my dad's dad, my grandfather. We called him Grampy. And I want to kind of start off on a little bit of a lighthearted note to say that there's 3 dicks in this picture. Dick the first, Dick the third, and the penis that this came off of. So a lot of you guys know this story already. Maybe some of the first years don't know. There's a little bit of lesson to this tale. So this guy came in with this on 24 hours after he put it on, and he was in a lot of pain and stuff, and he did cocaine, Viagra, all these different things, and I was with Dr. Fowles, and we were like, I don't think I've ever seen anything like this before. I mean, it was a mess down there. So I called Dr. Seeger, and he comes in, and we ended up having to go to the OR with this guy. But just to start off with a joke, I want to say that, you know, you can do hard things. The whole lecture about this is being able to overcome and do hard. Let me finish. You can do hard things if you put your mind to it, and we'll talk about some of these things. But in the end, you might end up in the operating room with a quirky resident, or a quirky urologist and a resident weighing over his head. So this is going to be more about not me, but the stories of people who have helped me get to this point and helped me get through hard times and stuff. And then also piggybacking off this story, medicine's can sometimes be more of an art than a science. So when I called Dr. Seeger, he said, yep, I'll come in and I'll take a look at the patient. And I told him, I think we're going to have to go to the OR because none of our tools are going to work. And this is like an ortho spine Dremel. That's what it took to get this thing off. There was like sparks flying. It was like an auto body shop, honestly. And he cut this side, I cut that side, and it like stopped working. I was like, did I break it? Did I do something wrong? But really, like, just the pressure from the engorgement just ended up clamping on that thing. But an hour goes by before Dr. Seeger comes to this guy's in pain, screaming in pain. An hour goes by, and I'm like, I gotta call him back. I said, Dr. Seeger, where are you? And he said, well, and this is to my point that it's more of a science or an art than a science sometimes. Well, you said you had no tools. I woke up my son, we're in his garage, I'm looking for power tools that we could hopefully take this thing off of it. So. This was tough as I'm doing this, like I kind of already said, I'm sure it was for everybody in the back row to kind of do, but it was kind of a little harder for me in terms of all of these pictures, and throughout my life, my mom took all these pictures and stuff, and so it's kind of like reliving like a little bit of her journey, kind of looking at some of these pictures and these old photos and stuff. And probably one of the reasons that it was kind of hard to figure out what to say is when I was going through these photos. Like, what am I going to say about this? And I just couldn't think because I was just thinking about that photo and her being behind the camera and stuff. So it was a little harder. What to include and what to leave out. There's just so much from everything from the last 3 years, medical school, college, when you're growing up. All these stories and all these people we've met along the way, like what's really important, or what, everything was important, but what can I leave with you guys that would resonate a little bit? And I want to kind of start with 3 things, or really just talk about 3 things throughout this whole lecture. Is 1, leave a legacy in your profession, but most importantly, is kind of what Dr. Batiste was talking about before, in your personal life with your family, and you know, leaving a legacy, making memories. Those are probably like one of the most valuable things. Is maybe hopefully you'll kind of really appreciate throughout this. The second is just a quote. It's usually nothing, but it's not always nothing. That thing you said in passing to someone, maybe you just said, but it could be something to them. It's usually nothing, but it's not always nothing. Or like in your profession, a kid with a fever, it's usually nothing, but it's not always nothing. And the importance of time and relationships. Okay, but my hope is that you'll, you know, with one of those 3 things, and Jake, you know, start your little thought web, put my name in the middle. Those are your 3 branches, okay? And I had a lot of, I'll skip that. So in the past 3 years have been I'll say the quickest decade of my life. It's like a roller coaster at a theme park, right? It's the shortest it's the shortest ride, but it's the most intense. You know, it goes fast. There's a lot, throws you for loops and stuff, and it feels like a really long ride, but really it's a minute, less than a minute compared to all the other rides. And that's kind of what this 3-year journey has been like. It goes by so quick. I feel like just yesterday I used to sit right where Lexi's sitting, you know. So, and yeah, it's a short ride, but it's intense. It goes fast. It throws you through loops. It sometimes tricks you into safety. But I mean, these are just some of my favorite photos from the last 3 years. Us studying. I think I don't do that on all of it, but just the memories we've made and all the times we've shared, I'm super appreciative. You know, when me and Underhill, you know, confused Coverman one day. He was and you know, he was dealing with his neck stuff, and you know, sometimes he wears glasses, sometimes he wears contacts, but he forgot both that day, which was, it couldn't have been better. But you know, just some of the people that have really kind of just put a smile on my face, you know, been a friend. But I'll start really kind of the backbone of this whole thing is it starts with these 2. My dad on the right, patient right for you guys, I guess, and my mom on the left. They're both went to high school together, Tenafly, New Jersey. Both my families very close in terms of my mom's side and my dad's side. Everybody's known each other since they were kids, essentially. That's them at our first house in New Jersey with our first dog, Woody. But this is my dad, second of my name, Rick. He was going to be here today, and it was kind of a game time decision. I told him don't come because if you're here and I'm talking about you, I'm going to cry. And yeah, going through some of this, I really couldn't find a lot of words. But airline pilot for 45 plus years, talk to the guy every day. I really don't have a lot to say just because it's just so overwhelming. You think about people in your life and you take all those like small moments for granted. And sometimes you're just at a loss for words, what to specifically say about them. Like, you know, how do you talk about this person you see every day, all the time? Like, you know, it's just, that's dad, right? And you all have that, hopefully that relationship with somebody in your family or a friend. But, you know, guy loves flying. Here's him, you know, kind of talking to us when we were, I think, kindergarten. You know, there's me and my sister with him, with the dog there, Woody. It was kind of recently in Wyoming and Jackson and stuff. And he still talks to kids. My sister works at a school in Brooklyn, and he actually was scheduled to do one of these again today. They postponed it for a few days, but I mean, he really just loves flying. He wants everybody to fly. He always said, plan B, you're going to just be a pilot if it's so the medicine thing doesn't work out for you. But among all of that, among flying for so long and all these accomplishments, I'll talk some about it later, but he'll say his greatest achievement, and I'm sure most of the parents in the room can probably say that, is being our dad. That's just the kind of guy he is. He's the type of guy that says yes, and he'll try anything, really. And I always kind of try to mimic that. But he taught me to work smarter, not harder, but that in itself is hard work. And like I said before, with the story, he was a guy that always said, like, it's just this quote, the one quote that if I could think of that he instilled upon me, says, you can put anything you set your mind to. If you just focus on a task, if you just, you're capable, and I'll talk about this, you're just capable of so much more than you think you are. And at a young age, you don't really understand what that means until you become, older or an adult. It just, I wouldn't be standing here today if that wasn't a quote that I had lived by. And as kids, he gave us, the freedom to try anything and fail. I played every sport. I was in an improv class when I was a kid too. I mean, I did so much, and he just always said yes, and just always had our back. And he didn't care if we did bad or failed at a thing. He was excited about that. It was just, good. You found out something you don't like. Good. You found out something you're not good at. Just on to the next thing, And then the other half, this is my mom. A little difficult to talk about it. Mostly everybody in this room knows kind of what happened over the last few years with her and stuff. And I'm not really going to talk about that right now. Kind of like Randy Pash, he starts off his lecture and he says, a few things we're not going to talk about. We're not going to talk about pancreatic cancer. Here's my MRI. It's bad. I got 5 months to live. Maybe we'll brush that topic, but I'm not going to talk about it here. I'm going to talk about the type of woman she was. And she as a mother, you get your kids ready. You get your kids ready for school. You get your kids ready for sports, and you get the house ready. But she did so much more than that. She got me ready to be standing here, take care of myself, to eat right, to be an accomplished person. Just those little things, those things that people write books about. I didn't have to read any of those books. I had this lady teach me all of how to be successful just on your own as a person, And she was the person who initially taught me it's usually nothing. And then, towards the end, it was kind of like, it's not always nothing. And that's really kind of one of the things that I hope to impart on you. It's usually nothing. I remember one time we were unloading groceries from the car, and the trunk of the car just tapped her head. Little tap. And she started screaming, "Oh my God, I'm gonna die, I'm gonna pass out." I'm not even kidding. It's not dramatic. That's the type of person she was. She was that dramatic. And then she collapsed on the floor. She didn't pass out. When I say collapse, I mean like she did one of these and said, "I'm gonna die, I'm gonna pass out." Oh my God. And so it's usually nothing. She doesn't have a brain bleed, she doesn't have a skull fracture, it tapped her head, but it's not always nothing, as we'll kind of find out a little bit later. But it wasn't until kind of recently, over the last year, 6 months, that I didn't realize how, despite that, how strong of a person she was. She's a warrior. She fought, and it was just to keep all of those things that not all of those things, but these things that I want to try to get you guys to hopefully learn today, but she was creating memories, wanting to leave a legacy, and she wanted to just stick around as long as she could to do that. So, and I learned that not just by witnessing the struggle she had to go through and stuff, but the stuff afterwards, going through her things. She wrote everything down, finding all these old notes and stuff, talking about how much she loved us and how much she loved my dad, how much she hated him at sometimes, just that struggle as a person through everyday life. She journaled like every day since high school, and we kind of, we knew where they were, but no one's going through them. You take pictures of slides and stuff that you feel are important at a conference. When was the last time you went back and looked at that picture? You know what I'm saying? It's just, so it's worthwhile to go back through those things sometimes. And then just another point to that story about hitting her head on the car of the trunk. I really wish I would have had something a little bit more lighthearted to say at her funeral and stuff. That would have been a great story. But I didn't want to. For those of you that are there, I don't know if you remember, but her half brother, my uncle Mike, gets up there and kind of brought the comedic relief and just stands up there and just goes, "Fuck." And then in front of like a Christian congregation and all of these, ladies who are 80, 90 with my grandma dance, they were all just, what kind of service is this going to be? So it all started with those two, and then these two came along. I was born in West Long Branch, New Jersey, but I learned that from looking at this, West Long Branch, New Jersey, and I said, oh shit, all my passports, everything says Long Branch. Am I a perjurer? Am I a felon? Like, oh my God, am I gonna? But so far I'm okay, so. I was like, oh my God, are those two different places? I don't even know. So if you want to take a guess which one is me and my sister were born about 16 minutes apart. No, guess.
Are
really.
you the bigger one?
You're the one on the right.
Yeah.
Maybe, I don't know. It's hard to tell. I'm just kidding.
The one that says M?
It's just, that one's me,
Yeah.
I think.
It says M on the birth.
So yeah, we grew up in Jackson, which was near Six Flags, which is a lot to do with this lecture. Roller coasters, they're short, they're fast, they're intense, they throw you through loops, just like life, and sometimes it tricks you. But yeah. And there's us. That's here in Florida, and our kitchen looks nothing like that now. But that's what a kitchen looked like in the early 2000s. Disgusting brown hardwood. Mm-hmm. And that's us at our college graduation. Me and my sister, who I'll get to in a moment, went to college together, 4 years at Florida State and stuff, and it was cool to kind of grow up together, almost sharing everything. Graduation dates, cars, all of those different things. But yes, for those of you, I have picture proof now, even though we haven't been on the boat since we started. It's just so busy. And I always say, let's go. And I'm that type of person that takes everything for granted. I've been here like most of my life and stuff and grew up doing this, so it's like, whatever, I'll do it next week. But I know most of you guys weren't that fortunate and stuff, and I feel bad, and I'm sorry that we never got to do that. But so this is Kelsey. She's my twin sister. She's a speech language pathologist in Brooklyn. She lives in Williamsburg and stuff, and just another person, just like the first two. What the heck am I gonna say? This person that I literally was like attached to the hip with growing up. It's my twin sister. Like, how do you come up with the words to say about a person that you just? It's like past love, It's that special relationship. But a few things just about her. She's this quirky lady with style. She's very graceful. She's soft spoken. she has this calm way about her, but she's like the most nervous and anxious person I know. Same thing with me, same thing with my dad. Like, I'm sitting up here still shaking, even though I've been up here and I've lectured to you guys a good handful of times, right? Like, I talk all day, but still, this is nerve-wracking for me, so. But one, that's me graduating med school and stuff, but one thing I learned from, one thing she learned from my parents that I did not, is they always knew, this group of 3 people right here, the core, they always knew the right things to say, to me, to each other. I don't think I ever developed that skill. I always had a niche for saying the exact wrong thing and pissing them off and getting them to yell at me and just getting in constant fights and stuff. And that was kind of like our younger years, like when we were here, like in high school and college and stuff. Like, we got into it. I mean, man, like, just guns a-blazing, just like almost hateful. But really, you can't do that with somebody that you don't hold dear in your heart. You can't get really that upset or angry with somebody that you're not close with, right? Like, you're not gonna flip out on the phone with some consultant or whatever like you would with a family member. And that's just a sign, I didn't really appreciate it growing up because it's like in the heat of the moment, but looking back, that's just a sign of love, that intense argument. And gosh, I'd say that I got into the most intense arguments with her. It was my mom, now that I think of it. I probably got into it with her more than anybody else, but I think that just kind of goes to the gravity of the relationship that you have with people. If you're able to just totally get after them, get after each other, but then the next day move on from it and love each other. I mean, there's nothing greater than that. Well, yeah. She taught me how to share. We shared a car through high school, through college even. We had one car, we would switch off all the time. But it wasn't just stuff that she taught me how to share. Sharing memories with each other. How to just share honors and be proud of yourself, and how to share burdens. She was really, she burdened a lot during that whole process with my mom. And sometimes you don't get to say the things that you wish you could say to people in that moment, but sometimes it takes time. And like I said, one of the most important things about this lecture is time and relationships. So, and we'll get to some of the things to those points. But and then that's not my sister, but I put this slide on there because that's her fiance. They're getting married this July. Connor, I think I've known him since I was like 14, and so is she. And I mean, he's always lived in New Jersey, and we'll get into a little bit about like long distance stuff in a bit. But and like I said, growing up in Jackson and stuff, we like theme parks. We liked going to these places where it's like quick thrills, quick memories. It's like cheap, not expensive, This is not there. This is actually, we still lived in New Jersey, but we came down here. I don't know if any of you remember that this is what Universal Theme Park used to look like. Super cool with the Jaws, and that's still there. Everybody loves the Uglies. Yeah, and just a lot of good memories. And those memories not just being shared with like my core 3, but this is all my cousins. And if you can appreciate one thing about this picture is that this was before cell phones, 1, so that's super awesome that someone planned that out. But 2, it's just me, and I was surrounded by a bunch of women cousins growing up. That's Jessica. She's the oldest of 3 sisters, Ashley, Amanda, and Sarah. And then that's my cousin Nicole. And these are all my dad's sisters. So this is my dad's youngest sister, Janet, who actually you'll meet. She's gonna come to my graduation. I'm like, holy crap, she doesn't come to anything. And she's driving down here. I was like, I love you, Aunt Janet. And she's always said, you're my favorite nephew. You know that? It's
Only
just me.
one.
So that's the sense of humor that my family has with one another. And we always sing each other happy birthday, and we try to do it in the biggest group possible every year. And we all try to be as off pitch and quick and slow as possible, so you don't even know you're singing happy birthday to the next person. It's just loud and it's fun. But that's Nicole now. She has 3 boys. So I say this to say, I wanted to say, or include these pictures here. I'm not going to talk too in depth about my cousins. I mean, their stories and stuff. To say that, you know, the legacy that our parents and their parents made to just keep us connected at this age to all the memories we made. Even time, I hadn't seen Nicole in such a long time, but she's like a sister to me. I can talk to her about anything, and she's great. And she has 3 boys now. They live in New Jersey, and that was just us recently in New York on the boat up there. And that's Jessica, who I think a few of you met. She actually she lives in Clemson, so when Kyle and Kara got married the day after, she drove her happy butt on down and hung out with me for the 3 hours before I got on my flight and came back here, which is also a nightmare. Oh my gosh. But it was great to see her, and she really liked all you guys, Jake and Brittany. I think you guys met her and stuff. And that's her again. Funny story. On Mother's Day one year, my dad wore this fat suit and this mustache and this thing, and he surprised my grandma. He flew to South Carolina, where she lives now, her mom, with a pizza. And for Mother's Day, because, you know, it's like long distance, I hadn't seen her maybe like in a year. I think his dad, her husband, which we'll talk about in a bit, had passed like maybe a couple years prior to this. My grandpa, the guy in the beginning. And this is the type of family where we just get a kick out of everything. That's like the term. You get a kick out of that, we get a kick out of everything. So around the time when my mom passed, a couple weeks later, Jessica calls me and she said, wouldn't it be great if I came in a fat suit and surprised your dad? But he was so anxious and stuff, he's like, don't have anyone come to the house. Just let me be alone. And so my grandma ended up spilling the beans that she was going to do this, so that he put on his fat suit. She delivered a pizza, and he answered the door in this fat suit. And you know, this is a couple weeks after my mom passed away, and I mean maybe that's like the first time I saw him smile after. So yeah. And then this is that's my Aunt Janet there. Those and the 4 girls that she has. My dad's youngest sister. And Nicole, the other one there with the kid, and that's my dad's Irish twin. I think they were born like 9-10 months apart. Joanne, who I think maybe she's in another picture. She's an incredible woman, but we're not going to talk too much about my extended family and stuff. Just my grandparents. So leave a legacy. This is my dad's dad, Richard the First, and this is my dad's mom, Ruth, who I love to death, but this guy, an amazing dude. I was in medical school when he passed, and I was on a ER away rotation, and it kind of hit me really hard. And then this program director was like, I had a shift with him the next day, and he was like grilling me and stuff, and I probably seemed like such an idiot because my mind was everywhere. I didn't see him for a few years before, and it was tough, like to go through that and during medical school. And oh God, it was like the story that you told about that shift. I mean, there was no weight on my shoulders in terms of like taking care of all of these patients, but just really the hardest thing about that was just being away, you know. But this guy was a plumber, New Jersey, New York, you know, raised 4 girls. Or 3 girls and a son. And they met each other when I think they were 8 years old. And so he passed away. And my grandma always sends me this picture. I just love this picture. It's just sort of saying hi. And that's the type of guy He was the kindest, most warm person ever. All of these women, his 3 daughters, his 6 granddaughters, it was just like he was such a kind and warm person. But you know, through this whole journey over the last few years, I've kind of reconnected with some of my cousins, Jessica being one. I talk to her often. She's like the same sense of humor, and we were interested in the same things and stuff. And she told me, you know, Grampy wasn't always like that. You know, he was a plumber. He swore like a sailor. He chain smoked cigarettes. He was not like the prototypical kind, warm guy that we were so used to. He used to just take us and do such wonderful things. And then on to his wife, my grandmother Ruth, we call Grammy. I love this lady to death. I mean, she's just the best. Just really unconditional love. Like that's her, unconditional love. And I think as a kid I didn't really appreciate that. Now as an adult I really just try to test it, you know, with our sense of humor and stuff. She's very conservative, a Christian lady. They don't swear. They're and all of my cousins, those girls, they all live very close. So they're very close with my grandparents. They were all in South Carolina and Clemson and stuff. But she was here for most of our childhood, so now they get to have her. She was in Florida and now they're in South Carolina. But I'll test her. I'll curse in front of her. I'll prank her, do little jokes, be like, that's what you look like when you sleep, you know? And then just one of the things that I just found hilarious, and she just cracks me up, is like, over the last couple of years when she was staying with us, my aunt bought this like Ryobi leaf blower, and it was like small enough and light enough, you know, we would take it through the house and stuff. And then one day I just surprised her, went right to her face, and she's like, ah! And you know, that's just, she's always ready to have a laugh, always wanted to have a good time. I'm like, this was a Christmas photo. I was like, I'm gonna make a funny face. Like, this is the funniest face she could make. But that's just like her laughing and stuff. But leave a legacy. So when they were young adults with young children, they used to go, does this area look familiar to you, Dan? This is upstate New York. There's Albany. But they used to travel up there and do like little RVs and stuff, and they bought a little cabin up in the Adirondacks and stuff, and this is where we spent like every summer, between there and in New Jersey, another place, with my mom's side of the family. But just togetherness is just what I learned, is that being a part of a big group of people, you know, through the good times, the bad times. Since I was the only boy, and they have a brother now, I should say, that's my other cousin. He's a little younger. We were all a little older, but he's a great kid. He just got married, and we love him to death too. But he's not in a lot of our pictures because he just wasn't born yet. So, Keith, that's his name, and he's Keith Jr. They wanted to kind of like keep the Richard thing going, so it's like Keith, and hopefully he names his kids Keith and stuff. But that's all of them again, and that whole family unit. So yeah, just what we did. We just did like water sports and stuff, and jet ski and skiing and stuff. And I wish I had the video. I couldn't find the video, but like that's just me like by myself as like an 8 or a 9-year-old just driving a jet ski. Do you think that's a good idea now? It's usually nothing. It's not always nothing. You know, I could have crashed into the dock or whatever. But they just, and the video, my mom's like, oh, good job, Richard. It's so funny. And they're all just like, yeah, look at him go. And I mean, for parents with kids here, I think 8 years old, did you let them go out on the jet ski by themselves? Probably not. But that's just like the type of family where we're just like always trying stuff, to the daredevil stuff. Like my dad, you know, there's my cousin, like we you know, our second pair of shoes were skis growing up, you know, so, you know, they all did one ski. I went to wakeboard. This guy he taught her how to barefoot ski. And he used to hold the rope in his mouth and stuff. I mean, It's this funny story. Is like this was the 4-wheeler that my cousin had in New Jersey when we were like so little, and why we were able to they can ride the 4-wheeler by themselves. They can do a jet ski too. And I just got to ride it again. I said, no way, and it just started it right up. It was amazing. That feeling of being on that thing again that I used to ride when I like 20 years ago, But so trying to one up my rock star dad. Learning how to wakeboard and stuff, just some things I'm interested. It's just a skimboard. That's what we really like doing. Nothing, low risk for injury, but I did dislocate my shoulder wakeboarding with my feet in the boots. That's what I'm going to blame it on. Not my being out of shape and not having done it in like 5 years. I mean, I got right up and I started doing all this stuff, but then I was like, oh yeah, I remember how to do this. No, I don't. Yeah, like I said, so back to this is my dad being the rock star on the lakes, and just leaving a legacy. Just another thing about him, teaching him how to barefoot ski, but he's an accomplished pilot as well. You could set your mind, you could do anything you set your mind to. This guy has like a number of flights, difficult flights, and they took like the black box data for them. And now they use, I know of at least one that they use when the flight simulators in Dallas for American Airlines and stuff. So his data, so just a rock star dude. Yeah, because I would start crying if he was here. That's why I couldn't find the words, But yeah, so just growing up here in Florida. So we moved from New Jersey to Florida like 2001, which was also a hard time for pilots and stuff. If you guys remember that era, never forget. But I played high school basketball and enjoyed wakeboarding and stuff. And it was just like in college, just like teaching a couple friends how to go. And then two of my buddies, also really good. And we just this is what we did on the weekends. This is what we did in the summer. Yep. And so then that brings me to the other half, my mom's half of the family. This is her dad and her mom. Some of you also bet, but that's Harvey Schlags. His family from Brooklyn, born and raised and stuff. And sometimes you'll see I have that hoodie. Like sometimes I wear it and stuff, and it's cool to just kind of have his old things. He was super stylish, this super cool dude. I'm like him in a lot of ways. I wrote, I'm like him in a lot of ways, especially when he got Alzheimer's. Good, that's a good 2 a.m. thought. No, but he was a great dude, and he always was always the life of the party, man. He was just a funny dude. He threw, I couldn't find the invite, but going through my mom's old stuff, there was an invitation for a party that he threw called his I Almost Died. Come to my house and let's have some drinks and celebrate that I'm still alive. That's the type of dude he was. He got hit by a bicyclist, like in New York, and cracked his skull open. And then that was like back, I don't know if it was like a craniectomy, but he had a metal plate, and there's all these like cartoon pictures of him because he owned like a production company, and they did like commercials and car commercials and stuff. But yeah. And that was like the first time he passed away at 16, and the first time that I realized life is, it's a roller coaster. It's a short ride. It's intense. It goes fast. It throws you for loops. It sometimes tricks you into safety. So that was like kind of like the intro into grief and stuff like that was his passing, because like I said, super cool dude and very accomplished. And then that's my grandma. Taking us to Lancaster, Pennsylvania. We're so excited to be in Amish territory. But yeah, we did go to Hershey Park though. So there you go. There's another roller coaster thing for you. That's her her birthday a couple years ago. But she just turned 90, and we celebrated with hibachi. She loves taking me out to eat. This lady's full of life, even at 90 years old. She is mobile. She takes care of herself. She still dances. I couldn't find any of the pictures of her dancing and stuff, but they're great. She's just an amazing human. She's coming now. Yep. So She's coming to graduation. Well, she says she is. We'll see. And leave a legacy. So they did what my other grandparents did, is in like the early whatevers. They bought a house right here, Long Beach Island, kind of closer up to here, Beach Haven, and this is like where I grew up too. This is the other half of my summer. We lived in upstate New York, Jersey Shore, and we even lived there for a year in this house. Moving from New Jersey to Florida, sold the house, started moving. House wasn't done here, so we set up camp at the summer house, and this was like my backyard. So fortunate. Leave a legacy for your kids, for your grandkids, because just being here is just like serenity, calmness, just like falling asleep to this. Like, this is my bedroom window. To that, I mean, I just so thankful, so privileged. It was just fantastic, and it wouldn't be possible if they didn't put it upon themselves to leave a legacy for their kids and their grandkids. And that's something that we should all, now as adults, like, you're just figuring out your life and stuff. Make it a not a priority, but make it a part of the things that you want to spend your resources on, your time, your money. It will propel your offspring further than you probably could have ever imagined. I don't think anyone in our family would have ever imagined being a doctor and a lawyer and stuff, but it's not because of this, but this played a huge role in those types of things. And like the friends you meet along the way, the other people that you would have never met if you just stayed summer camp in your hometown and stuff like that. And these are like all these friends that we've met in New Jersey along the way, and so I would drag my friends from here down there too, and they would always have a great time. Oh man, there's an embarrassing picture of me there, and then us with like a lemonade stand there. Let's see. Oh, I don't have it on edit mode. Oh well. But yeah, so friends along the way. That's kind of what I want to segue into. Time and relationship, friends along the way. And I don't remember any of these people because this is preschool. But I do actually have memories of this time, because there's me, there's my sister, and there's our teacher, Miss Stephanie, and she is standing.
Yeah.
So I was always like, why is one of the other kids telling us what to do? I was such a little kid, and I remember that, being like, what the heck? And I would remember, why is she telling us to take a nap? I'm going to take a nap, but why does she get to tell us what to do? Like, oh man. It's not true that you don't start forming memories till whatever age. If you had an impressionable moment at such a young age, you will remember it. And I do remember that. So, and then a little older, I had some friends that I don't remember Austin, probably, Dakota, and Tyrell. And a funny story about him, time and friends along the way, is that even as a kid, distance is something that you affects you. You start missing people, even at a young age. And I remember when we moved, but then we're still in New Jersey, I was like, our parents were like, well, let's get the kids together. And he was so excited to see me. We like met at a McDonald's at a playpen, and he tackled me, poof, right in the playpen. And that was the first time I broke a bone. He broke my arm. He was so excited to see me. And then this is Taylor, he moved in middle school to my neighborhood, two doors down. I mean, this guy, amazing. And he is tall as heck. And I'm probably 5'10" in that picture. He's standing behind me, and he's 6'7" now. And a good story about him is when he moved here, Jupiter Christian was like a football program. That's what we were known for, and I was like, oh, he wanted to play football. He's like 6'2", maybe when we were kids. Like, he was gonna play wide receiver. He's a bigger dude than me, despite what that may look like. And so I was like, oh, let's play football. I've never played. I'll figure it out. And that kid, maybe the third day of practice, hit me. Poof! All the air goes out of me. I'm like, am I gonna die? And then I got up and I said, this is my last year of football. I am not going to play. And they ended up, in high school winning like 2 state championships and stuff, and they were amazing. And he's getting married here in March. We were just talking the other day, and I still talk to like all these people, man. I mean, time and relationships, like really invest in those things. And his parents were like my second set of parents. I talked to them the other day. I talked to them. I try to talk to as many people as often as I can. It's just super important. Memories, all of that. Leave a legacy. These people leave a legacy in my heart and my mind and stuff. And yeah, I could go on and on about him. I was just talking to him the other day. He's like, "You want to be my groomsman?" I said, "Of course." I said, "So that must mean Kevin, actually, this guy here, he's going to be your best man." Because, "No, my dad's my best man." And I said, "Well, that's awesome. I love Mike. He's a great dude." I said, "Well, then who else is your groomsman?" He said, "And my cousin." And I said, "And who else?" And he said, "That's it." I said, "You don't have any other friends? We've been apart so long. You don't have any other friends? Come on, man." But it's just just get a kick out of it. Everybody always joking, and that's the type of people I surround myself with. Anybody that can share a laugh. This was like a birthday party at my house, and like I said, I want to tell stories about people that resonated with me. And Troy, I haven't talked to Troy in so many years. He's still in the area. I haven't seen him. When my mom passed, he reached out and said, "I hope you're doing well. I think about you often." And I said, "Dude, I think about you often too." And the story about him goes, when we were kids, probably around this age, we used to play airsoft. I don't know if you guys ever shot each other with non-injuring BB guns. It still hurts, but we were running around and he ran out into the street. He got hit by a car. And that car dragged his leg. He broke his leg. He needed multiple skin grafts. And the only thing I remember about that whole thing, the only thing I remember is just seeing him on the ground. I was like, "Oh my God." We all started crying. We all started freaking out. And he obviously remembers all of that. But time and relationships, the things you say to people in passing, it's usually nothing. It's usually nothing. It's not always nothing. He told me the other day, he sent me a picture of a pair of shoes. He said, "You remember that?" I said, "No, I remember you had them." And he said, "Yeah, you bought them for me. You brought them to the hospital when I broke my leg." I did not remember that at all, and I felt so bad not remembering it. But just the things you say, the little things you do, it goes a long way. He still remembers that, and he still remembers all those are the only two times, my birthday party and when he got hit by a car that we hung out all the time. He was one of my best friends growing up, and he remembered that, I didn't. And it's just the little things that you do for people, not just your friends and your family, but your patients, the things you say to them. People will remember things, and especially if they're kind things, even if you don't, they will, okay? Then there's us again, there's Taylor, there's Troy, and this is my buddy Pete. And going through these photos, I was like, Pete, you're always on my back, even through 6th grade, senior year of high school when we were graduating. I said a really crass joke in our group chat, but I won't repeat it here. But you can probably figure it out. But this guy here, Pete, I still talk to him all the time. He's actually, it's funny, he went to graduate school in Illinois. He's an optometrist now. He's moving back here, and I'm moving to Illinois. So what the fuck, man? Come on. We got to get this right. Yeah, so he's helping his dad out with this practice here and stuff. He's a great guy. He's always... The thing that he taught me is life's not so serious. Stop taking everything so serious. If you can imagine me back then, I wasn't this goofy class. I was still serious. Like, come on, let's get to work. And we used to work out in his garage in high school, and I remember one time, just making fun of me, trying to film me, doing something, and I got so pissed at him. Oh, I didn't talk to him for weeks. Yeah, why would you do that? Why would I get mad at something like that? You look at something back at something like that, and it's just that's funny. You were trying to be funny. You were trying to get me to laugh. I don't know why I took things so serious, and that always stuck with me. He probably doesn't even think twice about it, just like me giving Troy those shoes, but that's always stuck with me, and it kind of like reminded me like things aren't so serious. Stop being so serious about things. And it's usually nothing, but it's not always nothing. We used to run off this dock and jump in the river over and over and over again. Swim from my house down over to Taylor's. It's usually nothing, but it's not always nothing. To another point. This was years after. And it's just like that jet ski story. I can't believe we let you do that. I cannot believe it. This was caught in my backyard. A neighbor's dog, the head washed up into the backyard, and we're like, I think we have a gator problem. And so this guy put on a radio with a call and a big treble hook and threw it off the dock, and boom. And they reeled this thing up onto the shore, and he jumped on it and taped it with one hand, like Chubbs from Happy Gilmore. How do you think he lost his hand? Okay. And so friends along the way. This is me, Nikki, and then my best friend Joey, who is like a brother to me. I don't think, besides Nikki, I talk to her every day, besides her, and maybe not even my dad, this guy I talk to every day, without fail. And we will talk about everything under the sun. He was my college roommate. I was his best man. He'll be my best man. Say it plain and simple. The time in relationships, the people you meet along the way, the things that they can teach you. And I, like his best man speech, I didn't write anything down for him. And there's not a whole lot to say about him besides he's just through the toughest, and he's coming to graduation. He's always been there. He's always had my back. And just to kind of make another joke, I have such a fascination with short people. I mean, all of my friends, all my significant others, my teachers, everybody that's so short in my life, I hold in such a high honor. And I know I wrote something about him. Yeah, I did. Forgiveness. And you can laugh at anything, just like kind of what Pete taught me, but he really in college was forgiveness. We got in a tiff over something. And I was like, I'm going to fight you. So I went to go tackle this short muscle ball who was a state championship wrestler and he beat the living crap out of me. And then walked away because he didn't want to escalate it any further. So I chased him. And he slammed the door in my face, and the thing hit me in the face, and almost knocked out my front 2 teeth and stuff. They're fine. But we were back at it the next day, just cracking jokes and forgiveness. I mean, you got to surround yourself with the people who will forgive you, because you're always going to mess up, and you're always going to make mistakes. Hopefully not, in your profession and stuff, but in your personal life. And if you can't find the people that are going to forgive you outside of your core, because they'll always forgive you, they have that space in their heart for you and stuff, it's going to be a tough road. And like we'll talk about in a bit, every time I just get caught up, but they make it easy. Those types of people make things easier. The type of people you can talk to every day, the type of people that will forgive you for everything and nothing all at the same time. And to continue on that, I couldn't go through, friends along the way without giving a quick, blurb to my friends from medical school. I mean, that really, it's a tough time for all of us, right? Like, you always have that core group of guys or girls that you just really resonate with. This is Mitch. At PJ's wedding, my roommate, for a bit in medical school and stuff, and kind of taught me about life. Like, go out and do things. You don't always have to just be focused on a singular task. There's 2 smart dudes. He's emergency medicine, he's family medicine. Mitch had hair, and then he didn't have hair. Now he has hair again, and it's fantastic. But this was us in Zion National Park, and I just was always just, you look like a rock, Mitch. You look like one of these rock faces. These guys were awesome. And then we found each other. We always had the same sense of humor and stuff. And I saw Book of Mormon in New York when it was on Broadway, and it probably still is. And I was like, you guys gotta see this. This is awesome. And he was like, done. We got it. And we talk about it all the time, and we share laughs. And then another guy from med school, and you probably all have met him to some degree, Brandon. He was the family medicine chief here. I call these my,
He was a chief we never had.
Yeah. Super great guy. He was just there for me when, when you need people, you'd be surprised about how they will take care of you. And him and his now wife, Issa, they're here, and they were long distance in medical school, and Nikki and I are long distance through residency, and over the last few years they make a joke. They're like, yeah, okay, we're mom and dad, and they've been there. They've been helping me out and taking care of me. It's funny, their wedding anniversary. This day was my parents' wedding anniversary too, which was funny. So I was like, truly, mom and dad. And friends along the way. My best friend, my best buddy, Nikki. And she kind of encompasses like all three lessons. Leave a legacy. I want to leave a legacy with her and start a family and do all those types of things. But it's usually nothing. It's not always nothing, and I'll talk about a couple stories. And time in relationships, like the most important time and the most important relationship outside of my core family is this one right here. I mean, it's been super tough to kind of navigate this last 3 years without her by my side, but in a physical sense. She has been there in an emotional and a spiritual sense. And me for her in that same regard. She's out in Arkansas still, where we went to medical school, and I told her last night, I said, I'm so excited. We're so excited to be back together. And I told her, I said, I don't feel alone. I haven't felt alone throughout this entire process. I just am physically alone. I'm not lonely, but I'm physically alone, and I'm kind of tired of it, to be honest. But the first day we met was like the first day I moved to Arkansas. I hopped on the Facebook that I used to have, and I said, anybody here want to meet up, make some friends? She responded. Another woman named Brianna responded, who ended up being our roommate, because we had to have a roommate to live together, our fourth year of medical school. Parents' rules, not mine. But that was great too, and she was there, and another gentleman. But the thing that really stuck with me is like when I mustered up the courage to finally ask her to get Smoothie King with me. Just that smile. I mean, she's like, golly, like I don't even think. How did you do that? My teeth are yellow now. Hers are still bright, super straight. She wears a retainer and she brushes her teeth every night. That's the secret, guys. But she really taught me what love is. Your parents do. They love you, and but you never have that intimate. You're intimate with all of your relationships, and if the Webster's definition of intimacy, but really. Like that, this type of intimacy, like that close relationship with your other half. And despite, medical school was tough, like I said, and those guys and her helped me get through it. And I was a jerk at sometimes. I could be a jerk sometimes. And we got together and broke up so many times through the stress of medical school, but she always wanted to be with me. She's always stuck around, and sometimes, take that for granted, and she, when I needed her the most, she was always there, even if we weren't together. There's so many times I locked myself out of my car way across town when I had that Jeep. Like literally, the key was in there. It's not electric. You got to call somebody to. I had a spare key, and she went into my apartment, even though we hadn't talked in weeks. Got the spare key and brought it to me, and it's just like those little things. I remember one time, I got so homesick. I used to get so homesick when I moved to Florida State. Everything, it was just like gut wrenching. I couldn't eat. I was so nervous. And she took care of me. She cooked for me. She cleaned my apartment. Despite having to, study for medical school, she just took the time. Like a year in, 2 years in, it's like, I always think like, man, did I find the right person? Yes, I did. And it's because of those little things that she always did for me when we barely knew each other. That's the type of person she was. And that's the type of person we should all strive to be in our relationships and stuff. So she always put me in my place when I was wrong. You're just wrong. And sometimes you need that check, that to step back and say, am I? And you need to respect somebody enough to be humbled by them, and that's love. Yeah, that's love. And this is just us, more medical school pics. And if I'm going too fast with the pictures, just let me know. I feel like I'm clicking, but I do feel like I'm keeping a good pace. So that's my adventure buddy, and we go on like all these trips and stuff together, and I think maybe stuff like that. But this is where we're going. We're both working at the same hospital, Ascension Mercy in Aurora. I'm going to be admitting patients to her. Oh my god! If I thought it was a nightmare now. She's like, that doesn't meet criteria. Like, I'll discuss cases with her. Like, yeah, I had to get this kid admitted. Why? That doesn't meet criteria. I'm like, oh gosh. We're one of those. All right. And that's where we're moving to Wheaton. We have an apartment and stuff, and I'm just, gosh, I'm so excited. It's been I'll get to it in a moment. A few worst days of my life and stuff, and I'm just super thrilled to be continuing this journey with her. Those are her parents, Samir and Niru. Is that away? And I look good in this, don't I? This is here in Jupiter. And at graduation. So, just kind of, I don't know, I just added a lot of pictures. I just wanted you guys to see a bunch of stuff, and I don't really, like I said, you don't really know what to include and what to not include. And
where's that?
That is the Grand Teton House. That is in Las Vegas. No, that's a and that's there's my Aunt Jem, Nicole's mom. Such a super sweet lady. Oh my god. Another person is just like my second, third, fourth mom, whatever. These people just have been so great. Oh god. It's Yellowstone. And we, and I think I didn't write anything down for this part. And I think I added these slides to say, a lot of the things that we enjoy as a family and can now enjoy with Nikki and stuff, and we look forward to traveling and doing all these things. So few of the worst days of my life. That is fake. I am crying and dying inside because that's match day. I am so happy and thankful for everybody in here. But this was the day that I found out that we wouldn't be together for 3 years. And I cried so hard, tears of joy for matching and for coming home, but it was just so tough to just be there celebrating with everybody and having a good time and knowing that in a few short months I was going to have to embark on this journey physically alone. But looking back on the process, it wasn't alone. I had a lot of people. Dropping her off at the airport, I had a panic attack. It was the first time I had a panic attack. I was like, holy shit, chest pain, my face is numb, my arms are numb. I was like hyperventilating. I was like, oh my God. Because she helped me move down here, and then I dropped her off in Fort Lauderdale, and I was like, I can't drive home. So, even despite the worst days of your life, even despite those times where it all feels lost, the other side of the mountain is always there. The grass is greener on the other side. Despite what your current circumstances, despite those days in the front row where you go home and you're just like, do I have any idea what I'm doing? We have all been there. And the answer eventually will become yes. And it might even be yes now for you, but sometimes it doesn't feel like that. It won't always feel like that, okay? And then, second worst day or time period of my life was this time period. Just last year, to the end of my first year and through all of last year, really. Second year is a grueling time. You have trauma and stuff, and really the thick of this was on trauma too. And it was hard to just be away and also have to extend myself to just kind of not be away. To be on the phone, to be there physically, and thankfully, and I'll get to it later, that I've been here for that. It's usually nothing, but it's not always nothing. She got COVID, then had like a lump on her neck, and we're like, it's nothing. It's not always nothing. That was the lesson learned from all of this. And extrapolating that into what we do. When someone tells you something's wrong, when someone comes to the emergency department, they're coming because they're scared, they're concerned. And if it wasn't for her own concern, for her own fears, I think we would all just be like, it's nothing. It's usually nothing. You hit your head on the trunk. It's nothing. You just had COVID. It's a little bump. No, it was a metastatic lesion. And so she got diagnosed with stage 4 pancreatic cancer at the end of my first year. And it was intense. Just the burden that I felt I had. And I wrote stuff down. It's just hard to even fathom, or not fathom. I fathom it now. It's hard to put in words. And she passed in February of 2023. And that was a tough time. It's usually nothing, but it's not always nothing. It's a short ride, but it's intense. It goes fast. It throws you through hoops. And it sometimes tricks you into safety. And that was her life. It was fast and threw her through loops and stuff. But going through all of these pictures, she took most of them, besides the ones with me and Nikki and my friends and stuff. She took all these pictures. She lived a great life, and it's not about the times, the hard times and stuff. It's about the times you had and you shared, time and relationships. Leave a legacy. And she did that, and she did that in a shorter amount of time than most. So I went from this guy, happy, smile on my face, goofing around, loving life, to this guy for a bit. Just really just sad, angry, confused, lost, afraid. It took me a while to get back to here. I don't know when it happened. I could give you a date. I couldn't give you a date. When I finally started feeling myself again, and Every person in this room had a part to play in that. Every single person. And the ones that aren't here that graduated last year had a part to play in getting me back. So I'm just gonna, yeah. I prepared for this, so. But I'm just gonna say a few things and then show you some pictures and stuff. Let me take the goofy one off. Just go like this. The lessons I learned from her final days. You are far more capable and much stronger than you ever realized or ever could imagine you've been. Truly, everybody in this room, you are. It's going to take a little bit to discover, but if you don't already know that, you are. Okay? I'm up here telling all of you that. I've had conversations with all of you. I know all of you. Everybody in this room. Okay? And you can't expect people to truly know how you feel unless you tell them over and over and over again. And that goes back to these journals and stuff that we found from my mom. She's had a lot of stuff to say, man. And I just wish she would have said some stuff before she passed. But you smile at the things she thought and the things she said and the things you remember about her. So, and not just the people I'm about to show you, but everybody I've already mentioned. I went from here back to here because of all these people and all these slides before and all these people in this room. Okay? So, I don't think I could do it without crying, so. Some fun times. I wish I had more pictures of you guys, I really do. I have the best pictures of you guys, though. They're all the best ones are from me, so. I'm not really saying it, I just typed it quick. Oh. That's it. All right.